we'll probably get to it, but there's a lot to talk about in relation to money because it impacts your relationship in different aspects. I wanted to point out something very distinctive that you said that's so important is that he's making more and he wants to live according to his standard. You said something about that.
Yeah.
And but she can't afford that. And so if he wants to live, so that's like this sort of tension between living by his means, but also understanding that if she was with him, she'd be living way under that. So you have to find that balance of, I'm earning more, and because I specifically want to live at this standard, then I might have to pull that weight. Whereas even if he were making more, but he's fine living at her standard, then there's no problem, and then she'll be fine paying 50-50. And I think, what was I going to say? Shit. I think that it really depends on what your mindset towards the whole situation and to money is, and it's why it's so important to have these conversations. Because I think if you were earning more than her and she's just spending his money, or she's the one who's insisting on living above her means, then that's an issue within itself, and then that's unfair. But if she's very calculated with her money, she knows that she earns X, Y, Z, and she's very careful, she lives under her means, she doesn't spend his money, then it's only fair for him to put in that extra weight because he's the one that wants to live in those standards. And I think it's so important to have these conversations and to have the same values to money. And
Yeah, and
yeah,
I feel compelled to just say, they have a very healthy relationship, and they just talk about it
yeah,
and they find I'm not sure what their solution was. I think they capped everything at, I want to be spending this on my shit, you want to be spending this on your
yeah,
shit, and then we want to spending this on our shit, and then the rest kind of is living expenses. I think they kind of capped it off. But yeah, I agree. Like there's something to say, some men want to be sugar daddies, like they want to pay for the family, they want to,
yeah,
they want to, and that's fine. And not wanting to be that is fine as well. It's as long as you know what you want, and then you are clear, and I don't try to change anything. I
yeah,
think that's completely fine. Um, but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
to come back to kind of like what we're doing, you know, JT and I, we split everything half and half, like everything that we know is coming, the rent, the utilities, insurance, things like that. Like we've just split down the middle.
yeah,
But for instance, the other day I realized that there was a problem with the insurance, and we had to pay 3 months because basically on the bank account, uh, if there's money left over, we'll use it to go to a restaurant. We'll use it, for something extra. And we didn't
yeah,
realize that that specific insurance wasn't being taken from our bank account, so we had to front 3 months. Very annoying, like 250 euros,
yeah,
very annoying. And I
yeah,
just fronted it. I just gave the money. Like I just thought, you know, I didn't call him. I didn't say we need to split this half and half, because I know that he pays for other things. Like we consider that the money that we earn is our money,
yeah,
but this is different because we've got a child on the way.
yeah. It's a
This
different
is
situation.
exactly, we kind of, being married, living together, and having a child on the way are kind of just three different situations
Yeah,
where now that we've got a child on the way, we can't really be kind of splitting hairs on where the money goes. Like as long as there's money there, we consider that it's our money.
yeah,
And we also kind of he has more hobbies that cost money than I do, which I don't give a shit about. And so, but I'm aware that he will sometimes be spend a couple €100 on this or that, and we want to make sure that he can do that, like that he has the money to do that. And then
Yeah.
same when I want to be buying myself, I don't know, clothes or something, something different, then I have money to do that as well, without having to infringe on our home. And so when we talk about home, it's again utilities, rent, baby, his child who's with us half the time, like as long and food. As long as that's taken care of, then the rest of our money is kind of just our money. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I think again it's having these conversations about money because a lot of times money is like taboo and we're scared to talk about it. And I think a lot of times we have an unhealthy relationship with money with ourselves. So then when you combine another person and it suddenly becomes all awkward and weird and it's just there's a lot of it just becomes very messy. But I think when you have first of all a healthy relationship with money and you're not scared of money and you're not scared to talk about it with yourself, then it becomes easier to discuss and to handle with another person. And, when you trust each other and when you have a good open communication about the different things, then you don't have a lot of surprises and you feel comfortable putting an extra €250 because JT has your back and you know that
Yeah.
he you're paying this now, but he'll pay something else later, and you know that he won't take advantage of you paying more than him or whatever it is. And a lot of times, there's times where one person spends more, and then the next time someone else spends more. It's like we just had a weekend with my cousins, and Zev paid for. We went to in the place where we live. There's like a communal, what's the word for it? Like an eating space.
Food court.
Yeah, like a kind of not exactly food, but like there's a kitchen and people can come, they can pay and come eat and whatever. So we invited everyone over and so Zev paid for it and then everyone paid him back because then my cousins, a lot of them had my number, not his or whatever. So they like some of them transferred to me and not to him. And he was like, so I said, I'll transfer back to you. And he's like, no, it's fine, whatever. It's not a big deal. Like, it's sort of this sense of like you can trust a person to not take advantage of you because you know who they are, you know their values with money. And it's also the sense of like, it really does make a difference at the end of the day because we're in a partnership. My money, his money, it's like, as long as you don't manipulate the situation to your advantage, then there isn't much to worry about. Here in Israel, also, like a lot of times, like married couples, they would have like a joint account as well. So I don't know
Yeah,
what it's like
same
over there, but
same here.
that,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We've got a joint account now because we want, the
yeah,
what I was saying, like the home expenses, like they get taken from the same account and we don't really have to think about it.
yeah. But then, you would have like some couples would close their own private accounts and then just have like one where everything goes into there, or they have to each month put in like a certain amount according to whatever percentage you agree upon. So if it's like 50-50 or 70
Yeah.
30, whatever it is. Personally, I think every person should have their own account no matter what. I think I learned
Yeah.
this from my mother, who learned it from my grandmother. Like every woman, specifically, she was talking about women, every woman has to have her own money. God forbid something happens, she has to take care of herself. And you know what? Talking about privacy and trust beforehand, there's certain things that you should be able to buy yourself without someone seeing what you're buying?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
why does someone have to see, like, besides the fact that, you can't buy a gift for someone if they can see what you're spending money on, but like, if you want to buy things for yourself or just, you just don't want people to see what you're spending your private money on.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of ties into what we were saying about phones and things of just
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also kind of become universal where So the only couple that I know that that she doesn't earn her own money is my mum, which is not entirely true either. But for a long time, my dad was the only breadwinner.
Yeah.
So she just kind of punctured from the joint bank account. But I also think that's wrong. I think that he had his money and then pushed it to a joint bank account and then pushed her some money so that she could have her like spending money that he didn't
Yeah.
have an access to. Now she's got her own like job and is earning her own money, which was a whole other topic about women being independent, which is what you were saying, and
Yeah.
is interesting. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, it's I mean, and then when so JT and I JT hates talking about money. He hates it.
Yeah.
I force him to talk about it once a month to just kind of like see where we are. Because also when we got together, it was a very tight financial situation, especially for me.
Yeah.
So I force him to talk about it, um, just so that we're completely in the clear. Because I was very open about the fact that I have no disposable income. Well, I didn't have any disposable income, and it was very complicated for me. And that I was going to rely on him, and I wanted that to be kind
Yeah.
of temporary, but he needed to be aware of that if we were going to be living together, because my other solution was going to go home back to my parents. Like it was
Yeah.
either we were going to live together and he accepted that I had to depend on him, or that wasn't happening.